So it's time for me to start a new build. I may be partway through building my Bronco currently, but I am waiting on parts for that, and this next build actually will have a bit of a deadline, so I figured I should probably get started on it. As you can see, I am doing a fun reveal and pretending that you all don't already know what kit this is because you saw the thumbnail, but drumroll, it's the Revell 57 Del Rio. So this is a kit I picked up last year and really wanted to build it, but the theme that I had for this build would be very similar to one that I finished up last year and kind of wanted to space things out. So this is, of course, a 57, and that is why I am building this kit. I know it's a bit early to tell. A lot can happen in 2 months, but I would love to go back to the NNL North show in Minnesota. It was the first ever model show that I competed in, and ever since starting building models, I have not missed a show. So hopefully I'll be able to go again this year, and in hopes of that, I am going to be building this for their 57 Heaven theme. So the 57 Heaven is just cars built in 1957. I think a lot of people will just automatically go to the 57 Chevy, but I like to do things that are a little bit weird and a little oddball, so that's why I'm going with a Ford. Now, I had mentioned that I wanted to build this car, but it would be a little too similar to something I already built, and that's why I wanted to space it out, and that would be my 56 Del Rey coupe that I built last year. So if you have not seen that, it is one of my favorite builds I have done, and it is this right here. So this is a Del Rey that I built in a kind of California surf rat kind of vibe, and this is kind of the vibe I want to go for with the Ford, with a couple tweaks that we'll get into. And so with this car, I had built it this was the first build I did after moving back to California last year, and wanted to do something that was very California coded in order to kind of celebrate that. So I did the 56 here, just ratted it out, tons of coastal patina rust on it, added the surf rack. It's got a serape blanket here in the rear window that you can see there. Got the ACA license plate. Another, nod to surf culture. And yeah, so that's this build. So this is kind of the vibe I want to go for with the Ford. I want it sitting on the frame and just tons of patina, really ratted out, and it's going to have a roof rack as well. We'll get into things engine-wise later, but just for now, note that this has a straight 6, as that might become relevant later. So we'll go ahead and start talking about the 57. Let's talk vibes. This is the kind of stance I want. We'll go ahead and take this back, throw some rubber underneath it. Might have to clearance the rear a little bit. It's hitting some body molding. But there we go. So that's the vibe I want. Sitting flat on the ground, or as close as we'll be able to get with the frame. I don't know how low the frame sits on this body. So we're going to have to do a bunch of notching like we did on the 56. Get the rear end tucked up, get the front end tucked up. And yeah, so I had mentioned engines. The Chevy has a 235 straight 6 in it. And that's kind of my favorite feature of the car is, no one ever thinks of a 56 Chevy when they think of a Tri-5, and no one ever thinks of a straight 6 car when they think of a Tri-5. So I tried to make it cool by doing the kind of slept-on year with the slept-on motor. I'm trying to figure out what to do engine-wise on this, and I have three ways I can go about this. And it all depends on if I want to make this a series. An idea I have, we'll get personal for a second here. I've lived in California the majority of my life. I've lived here 3 separate times. I was born here, moved away, moved back, moved away, moved away, moved away, moved back. So I've been here 3 times, but I've also lived in a couple other states. I've lived in Montana most recently, and I also briefly lived in Minnesota when I was finishing up high school. So this is going to be a Minnesota build, and I want it themed, for Minnesota. But I was also thinking we could potentially, in the future, make a series out of these, and I will love your guys' help on this because I don't know if anything exists. But if there are any good mid-50s Mopar kits out there, on the top of my mind, all I can think of is a Chrysler 300, which I would not be opposed to. I have one laying around here somewhere. But what could be cool is to do a series of cars based on places I've lived. So we have the 56 Chevy, we'll have this 57 that is based on Minnesota, and then we could do the Mopar for Montana. And if we wanted to continue this theme, this car is going to have a roof rack, which we'll get into later. And then if we put a straight 6 in this, so if we do like a Ford 300, then we can do a slant 6 in the Chrysler or whatever other cast or model, and then we can have the 3 cars have 6 cylinders, all be slammed, all have patina paint jobs, and all have a roof rack with something on it that kind of expresses the state. So if we were to do Montana, I would love to do a drift boat, a whitewater raft, something like that to kind of, bring in the river culture that Southwest Montana has with the fishing, whitewater rafting, all that kind of stuff. Maybe through like a fly rod case on the roof, something like that. I guess I'll go ahead and spoil it. So, the 56 had a surfboard. This mysterious Montana dream build would have a something Montana themed. Now, for Minnesota, other than it being very cold, what tends to come to mind for Minnesota? It's the land of 10,000 lakes. Or if you ask anyone who's ever lived there, they will tell you it's actually more like 12,000 lakes. And what do you do on lakes? You fish. So, what I'm thinking for this build is we'll throw a roof rack on it, and then to top it off, we're going to go with a canoe. So this is just a wood canoe I have. I'll probably 3D print one just to get a little more detail because this is a flat bottom, just because it's made to sit upright. So I'll try to find a 3D one that actually has, the full body, the full canoe. So this is the vibe here. So it's going to be slammed. I would love to open up the tailgate and maybe do some fishing poles back here, picnic basket, something like that. Just kind of really give it a weekend on the lake or a weekend in the cabin type theme. So back to the engines though. I would not be opposed to putting a 300 in this. I think that could be cool. I love straight 6s, and these came with a 223 Ford from the factory, so they did come with a straight 6. The 300 would be an upgrade. I'll have to make sure it actually fits in here. I think the 300 is a bit bigger than the 223, but that could be cool to do a straight 6 powered wagon. Now, the other idea I have would be to do a V8, obviously a Y-block, and that can go 2 different ways. So, along with doing straight 6s, my other favorite thing to do in builds are oddball superchargers. I've done a lot of flathead powered superchargers, but I haven't done anything for overhead valve engines. And the Y-block, around this time, 57, would have come with optional extras in the Thunderbird, and I think maybe the 57 police cars came with the supercharger. Not sure. But they had, was it a McCullough? I believe it was. I believe it was a McCullough supercharger. Though there were also Latham superchargers, which are a vane style. And that would be pretty cool to do a blown Y-block and either do the Latham supercharger or to do a McCullough. There is a 3D file available for the Latham that I could use. The AMT 63 Ford, is it? The unibody pickup truck comes with a McCulloch-powered Y-block. But then I could, if I wanted to design something, I could also do another version of the McCulloch, which was kind of a more universal fit supercharger. And I'll throw a picture here so you know what I'm talking about. But I could go with one of those supercharged options. So I could use your guys' opinion, just to kind of help me steer this in the right direction on whether y'all think I should do the straight six. And the problem with the straight six is I don't really know what to do to make it unique. So with my 235 and the Chevy, I did a thick stun hop-up kit. They have this really cool, iconic, but rare, but cool dog bone shaped intake, which is actually what inspired that build, because I saw that intake and I wanted to use it on something. And I just don't know Ford 300 parts that well. I don't know what oddball, rare, cool speed parts are out there. But I'd love to design something for it. And I want it to be more than just, a standard aftermarket valve cover or something. So I could potentially do a McCulloch supercharged 300. That could be interesting. Or I could do, a Latham-powered V8. So I would love to hear your guys' opinions on whether you think I should go with the straight six, and if we do go with the straight six, what kind of accessories I should do to kind of make the engine a bit more unique. Whether that is some kind of interesting manifold that's out there, some kind of supercharger, would love to hear it. Or if you think that we should go with the V8, I would love to hear that opinion as well, and then whether or not you think we should go with a McCulloch-style supercharger or the Latham style. Would love opinions on that as well. And if we go with the straight six, could potentially in the future do a Montana-themed build too. So there's always that option. So again, would love to hear your guys' opinion. And yeah, so I'm going to get started on this by slamming the chassis. That's going to take a bit of work. So while I'm working on that, you guys let me know about engines. Would love to hear your opinions and kind of help me fit this vibe. So also, if you're going to be at NNL North, let me know. I, again, really hope I can go there. You never know with life, but yeah. I know there's a few people on YouTube who go there. I met them in the past. Would love to meet them again. Would love to meet new people. All that. So if you're going to NNL North, let me know. And hopefully I'll get to see you guys there. But with that, thank you so much for watching. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye.